in.
Yeah, there we go. We're here. Well, this is different.
A little bit.
Haven't done this in a while.
Yeah. Should I just leave the room and you can just go back to the beginning of the pod?
I know. I feel like that's how it went. Man, those early days.
Yeah.
I like to try to tell people it's you feel like you're talking to yourself in a room because you are talking to yourself in an empty room. So you got to get that energy up and have that audience engagement, like, hey, lean into it type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's been a while since I've had to do a solo. Like even with the outro stuff, it's not fully solo, but yeah. Well, guys, we finally did it. We swapped out Brian. We're just waiting for a new co-host.
I wish I had a camera set up just to show the empty chair.
The empty chair. We're joking. Brian is still very much with us. He's just kicking butt on the barbecue circuit right now. So he's prepping for another crazy series of cooks this weekend and pop-ups and what have you. So guys are stuck with my mug. Hope it's okay. Yeah, can't promise it'll be as engaging or entertaining, but it will be informative. I hope. So without further ado, let me do my spiel. Hey guys, Rasheed Phillips here, and welcome to This Week in Barbecue, the barbecue-focused podcast that introduces you to both the good, the bad, and everything in between in the world of barbecue. Yeah, I'm your host, and typically joining me would be my co-host, where I would go like the bearded wonder, Mr., and he'd like say his name, Brian Hall, but he is rolling smoke and preparing to feed a lot of people tomorrow, so I'm here solo dolo, but not fully alone, because joining me is the voice you hear but face you don't see yet, Mr.
Lee Garman.
See, it still works. So that's the whole thing. You know who I used to love and still love that was a performer that was just great on hitting cues? James Brown. Like he and his band were on point.
Yeah.
On point. Like that's what it was.
I feel like you get there though, because I feel like those guys just never did anything without each other.
That's true. They're just always in sync. Like Le Twins, the dancing dynamic duo that were on numerous dance shows and did choreography with Beyonce and everything. They're twins, so they're always together, knew one another's moves. They just picked up in sync, and that just reminded me, like us doing our thing here is just like that James Brown band, just always on it. I remember Chappelle for his Block Party movie. He had a band, and he was trying to psych him out, but they just weren't as tight as James Brown and his band was. But has nothing to do with barbecue, but it was a good trip down memory lane. All right, guys, so we're going to be answering some questions a little bit more in depth, but we do also have some barbecue news and highlights that we want to lead with. First up, everybody's favorite pellet company, said no one that I've ever met in real life. Traeger has been on a product release tier lately. They have dropped a Timberline XL at under $4,000, so like $39.99, and early on this week, and this is all like within the last 7 days or so, because it's This Week in Barbecue, no point of it being over 7 days old. They have dropped a what they call a flat rock, flat top griddle, which I'm assuming is to compete with Blackstone. That's a very unique name, or try to be unique. We've got Flat Rock and Blackstone. Weber's going to come out with seared slate or fiery flint. There it is. If you guys, Weber, Karen, if you're listening over there in the R&D department, if you come out with a unit, just call it fiery flint. I don't want any royalties. Just give me 2 rigs. But seriously, shout out to Traeger on the drop. It is a griddle top unit that, believe it or not, does not use pellets. It uses propane. Didn't see that one coming. Did not see that one coming. What's really going to throw me off is if I feel like they're doing like an Apple release because they're just dropping product after product. Next week, we're going to get hit, and we're going to get an announcement that Traeger is releasing a offset wood burning, smoker. then I'm like, okay, let's see how that one goes. Because I wonder, I would not expect Traeger to make propane units. Like that just seems.
Propane does feel like an interesting decision.
It really does. Like I've seen. I've seen.
Like, are there ways to get around like how that's going to smell? And
I have no idea.
because to me, I feel like even I'm not as I would call myself like a very much barbecue beginner, but like there is, I don't know, you can tell when it's propane.
You can. There's a lingering aroma, but I think what they've done is they've basically taken, your 6-range burner stove and dropped a large cast iron on it, and they're just heating the heck out of it in substance. And, I guess it's really just going to depend on how often the user maintains, cleans, all that. But I do think it's such a weird shift because they've got a portable unit. I think it's the Ranger, not to be confused with the Green Ranger, but it's a Ranger.
Where's Tommy?
Yeah, I know. R.I.P. Tommy. And I think it's got an insert or something. I don't know. Talking out the left side here, guys. I generally don't have a Traeger set up, so I'm not as familiar. But from what I've seen, that unit runs off like battery power, and I'm just shocked that they went with propane. Like I really didn't see that coming, I figured they would have manufactured some sort of attachment unit to have the hopper use on there, because in my head, I think of the master built portable unit they have, and that still uses coal or wood chunks as the main fuel source. So it's always interesting, I give it to them. I know you guys think I give them a hard time. Trust me, I read the comments and the emails. But this is a barbecue focused podcast, so they dropped a new product, and go check it out. Let me know what you guys think. Would you buy one? I don't know the price on it, but I'm hoping it's not, the cost of a used Civic like their Timberline model is. But I digress. Who knows? I rub 2 sticks together for a living. What do I know? I'd put a smart aleck comment onto the news, but I'm not going to read it. I do have to say, having been to their live product showcase last year, I think it's very interesting that they canceled that this year and just did it all virtually with their Traeger Hood members. All just, if you follow anyone Traeger or just anyone who uses pellets, your feed is probably just slammed with the same music and, keynote style presentation, slow-mo footage of the rig. That's what mine was. So, yeah, go check it out, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Ooh, this was a good one. This is for our buddy, my barbecue buddy, and yours, Miss Misty. She is Seattle Butcher's wife on the old Instagram. He's on all over the place. She's actually now officially a part of Team Royal Oak. So it seems like this year a lot of brands have been sort of clipping the wings of their former ambassadors or drastically reducing their budget so much so that they're cleaning house of their paid partners. I.e. see the first story of Traeger, just do a Google of how many people they've let go. But I'm really happy for Misty. She's amazing. Missy's great. She really is. I love to see her with this. I believe she's going to also be at a couple of Royal Oak sponsored events. So if you aren't already, go give her a follow. Seattle Butcher's Wife. And stay tuned. She has amazing recipes on her page. And she's just a fun person. I can't wait to connect with her again. I believe we'll see her and the hubby and the whole crew at A this summer. But congrats, Missy. It's definitely well deserved. Next up, our brother Robert Lermer here. He's dropping some new merch for his brand and label, Smoke and Mash. He's got some dope caps out. If you've seen any amazing photograph of food or barbecue pitmasters, there is a very, very strong chance that Robert took it. And we've talked about this, but I'm willing to bet he's probably got the largest modern day archive footage of pitmasters. Just like anywhere, everyone, your pitmaster's favorite pitmaster, he's got them. Everyone from Pops to Mo Kason to Brian Furman to Rodney Scott to the cats over at Burnt Bean, the goalies guys, any and everybody, Tootsie. He's got their photo, so it's always good to see what he's doing. He's also going about doing various creative endeavors. If I'm not mistaken, too, I can now mention Brian Furman will be down in Texas April 1st for a limited run barrel release of whiskey, I believe. I'll have more details in the show notes, but love to see it. I'm going to do my best to get down there, but I will be in Jersey the day before doing a demo, but I'm hoping I can shoot down right after that's done. We'll see. We've also got a couple more news points here. Shout out to Brian for still filling in the segment. We'll get to those bits. He's got Leroy and Lewis, their spring class, session 2, has a few spots left. You can still sign up, so for that, all you've got to do is email Sawyer at leroyandlewis.com. We'll have that in the show notes as well. There's also the Soup Belly barbecue class happening in Las Vegas by Chef Bruce Coleman. It's going from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's happening March 13th. Also, if you're in Vegas, go online, TikTok, Instagram, Twitters, whatever. Just search a guy named Keith Lee. If you don't know who Keith Lee is and you're in the food space, you've definitely been living under a rock. This guy is single-handedly, legitimately saving small mom and pop businesses. Gotta hydrate. Yeah, definitely go check him out. I love his videos. He does these great food reviews, and I mention him because he's based in Las Vegas. He was and still is a UFC fighter, but he's definitely been more known as of late for his food reviews and helping small businesses. So shout out to that. Maybe we can get him connected with the guys over at Soup Belly. That'd be pretty cool. Soul Belly, pardon me. Going back to mine, I want to give a giant shout out to Susie of Hey Girl, Hey Girl Hey. She cleaned house at the NBBQA, which was the National Barbecue and Grilling Association. Literally cleaned house in ranking and placing. I'm going to run through a little bit of them for you. First place for blog. If you haven't, check out her blog. It's really good. Second place for original rub. Third place for mustard sauce. And third place for best pork rub. It's a great festival. You have everyone from Susie to Pegleg to Ms. Cookston to Mo that all attend those things. If you are interested in getting into the field, getting into the world and the community of barbecue, that's definitely a wonderful event and festival to go to. I believe we mentioned it way back, but maybe we'll start a little running calendar that you guys can just visit and see of when everything is happening, because there's a lot. The season's coming. There's a lot on the horizon.
Is there anywhere that you know of that has like a calendar that's like got everything put together?
No, not that I know of. So if it's not there, build it.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's just going to be aggregating all that information because there's just so much that can come through. But we can put something together. And finishing up here with the news, one time for Mr. Stan Hayes and the gentlemen over at Operation Barbecue. They are doing their Celebrity Barbecue Academy and Golf Classic. It is actually occurring in Kansas, May 21st and 22nd. So if you're attending Memphis in May, you can finish up there, wrap up, and then shoot on over to get the experience. I'm not a golfer. I'm a Happy Gilmore, but I'm definitely not a golfer. I'm hoping that I'll be able to attend and help because I truly believe in what Stan and his whole crew of Operation Barbecue Relief do. They're always the first feet, 10 toes down on the ground whenever these disasters or anything like that occurs, they're serving up countless dishes and providing supplies for communities, and they just do it because it's the right thing to do. So check those guys out. I'll have more information in the show notes, but remember, those dates are May 21st and 22nd, just after Memphis in May. It's worth looking into. Ooh,
you want to give that Happy Gilmore stat real quick that we were just laughing about?
We were. Let me see if I can. I'll pull it up. So I'd sent Lee this this meme that sort of had us realizing like, oh crap, we're old. But the tweet is from a Shooter McGavin handle post on Twitter, and it says, reflecting on what happened 27 years ago today. On this day, 27 years ago, first off, can we take a moment to realize that Happy Gilmore was 27 years ago? Like, that's the daunting part for me. On this day, 27 years ago, I was screwed out of a gold jacket. First off, Gilmore should have been kicked out of the tour for assaulting Bob Barker, but I digress. During the 96 Tour Championship, he was allowed to fraternize with the help, swing and miss multiple times with no strokes being added, and had the entire gallery on his side. It was a complete and utter joke. I've moved on, but I still ask that you please keep the jokes to a minimum today. Thank you and God bless. Signed, Shooter McGavin. I love this so much. I really do, because he's right. You know, they should have kicked Gilmore out. They really should have. But
I mean, when you put it that way, it's pretty plain and simple.
It really is. When you go by the rules, letter of the law, the letter of the rules, they sort of screwed Shooter out of it. I'm glad that he's not holding a grudge after all this time, that he's come to terms and he's found peace. I would actually love to see a response from
that'd be pretty good.
from Gilmore. That would be really good. Just keep that going. Just keep it all going.
That'd kind of be along the lines of if Adam Sandler started to pull Ryan Reynolds and just live out his character a little bit.
Yes, yes. That would be perfect, actually. That would be really, really good. Yeah, let's get to the questions, because you guys submitted more questions, which we love. That's sort of why the whole show sort of does how well it does, if well is how we want to call things at this point. Let's pull it up. Boom. How much was the what? That's a good question, but we'll save that one for the end. Ooh. Let's start here. This is actually a really good one. SG Gainey 97. Tips for assembling your crew for starting pop-ups, catering, a barbecue side business in general. Well, a great place to start is actually this podcast, and listen to the last two episodes. I'd say the episode before last, where the first literal 29 minutes of that episode answers that question in detail as far as setting up what to go about it. And the episode before this one actually spoke on what to do when scheduling pop-ups. Like, that was this whole segment as well. But to add a little bit more, when you say a barbecue side business, do keep in mind that unlike many other side businesses, this takes a lot of time because of the food that has to be cooked. It's not something that you can quickly do like a copywriting service or graphic design or something that's real and done. Food's going to take as much time as it takes to cook, and that's just one of those factors. It seems simple. It seems sort of rhetorical or redundant to mention, but really do keep that in mind and make sure you're allotting yourself enough time to do so. Now, what precedes that would be making sure you have a good product to begin with. That is very, very important. I can't tell you how many consultations we've done with businesses where you have to be honest and tell these people, like, no, this isn't good. And that is some of the best feedback you can get. It's not meant to discourage you, but it's meant to save you headache and heart pain in the future when you go out and you're really trying to get your product somewhere, you're really trying to set up at an establishment and they just don't call back or anything because it's just not great. You want to make sure that you are kicking butt. You never want to serve what anyone's getting at, like your local Jim and Nick's or something like that. Your food should be way ahead of it because you don't want to be, as Brian and I have loosely coined, you don't want to serve redundant barbecue because if it's already out there, there's no point in you being there. Be better than what's there. But yeah, that's a really, really good and deep question. Now, I will answer the assembling your crew part. Assemble people who have patience with you. That's very important because they are going to be the ones that you lean on the most when things get a little crazy, when you end up in the weeds. Bringing your buddies on is always good, but make sure they are an asset, not a liability. Don't have a buddy that can't do mental math or good with numbers when you register. That's not a smart move. Don't have the buddy that's always late, try to be there to help you just because it's hands and you're like, it's better than nothing. No, because a lot of this is going to be so timed out that it's only going to take a couple of events and the ball drop once or twice before it can start straining the friendship. You may even want to start looking into getting on some hired help at the very start, if possible. But that's on a whole other podcast. Oh, you got one?
Well, no, I was just going to ask, do you have people that, like when you're cooking more frequently in those types of environments, were there people who, like, maybe they were better on the day at the pop-up versus helping out cooking or stuff like that?
So, what I don't think a lot of people know is I did it all. For my first pop-up, aside from my first pop-up, for the first 2 years, I did everything myself. I did all the cooks, all the prep, all the late nights, all the serving, all the math, all the running the register, plating everything. I did it all myself. I didn't have I could have, but I didn't want to burden anyone with coming out because it required so much work. And I was like, yeah, no one's going to do this stuff for free. I barely do this stuff. This is ridiculous. But it was all me. And then after 2.5 years, almost at the 3 year mark, when I realized being in multiple places, it was at the 3.5 year mark where I realized being in multiple places drastically skyrocketed the bottom line. That's when I started to bring people out. And even still then, it was a matter of training and teaching them how to slice brisket and letting them know like the lexicon and the language used and what certain things were. Because, yeah, they could eat it, put it in front of them. But some people would have questions on it. What type of hogs are you getting? Where are you sourcing things? How long was it cooked? What rigs, But, once you are able to get a good, solid team together, best advice I can tell you is treat them well. Worked for an organization for 11 years, and halfway through that 11 years, they stopped caring about us, which we were once called the soul of the company, and you could feel it, and it changed, and you just simply became a cog. And I promised myself I'd never want that to happen. So always show appreciation whenever you can, however you can. Yeah, I think that was a fair one.
Yeah.
That wasn't bad. Someone asked, Nisi asked, can I buy a plate? Hopefully soon. I'm wanting to do some more pop-ups this year. I said that last year, and I think I only was able to do 3. But I'm hoping to get a public pop-up going in April. And if you're not able to make any of the public ones, check the roster. There's a lot of travel going on this year. Like the tour starts in a couple of weeks, and there's a lot of places. Those of you who've been like, come to Jersey, come to Illinois, come here, hey, all right, it's happening. If you don't show up, I'm going to feel some type of way. Stay tuned for those dates, though. This one goes to Alex asking, Any unique rib dry rub recipes? Yeah, my own rub. What else would I use? I mean, I put a lot of effort into making Slab Father. Like, all of these rubs were not white labeled and rushed. Like, I still have the napkins with me writing it out once I nailed it, because I used to just hodgepodge it and put everything together. Then I realized, crap, I can't really replicate that. So I started to weigh things out and chart it. And then once I got it right, it's like, ooh, that's it. But for dry rub, Slab Father. Like, I designed it to work on beef across the board. Next up, this one came from Derek. Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. I'm always a fan of the support and you championing me trying to get these venues or these barbecue events to reach out. But as I told you, if you check their page, it's blatantly to see I'm definitely not their type of smoke roller. I'll let you come to whatever conclusion you come to from that. But your question being, what's my favorite barbecue side? You said yours is collard greens. Mine, it's going to be between mac and cheese and cornbread. And I love them both so much that I actually do make a cornbread mac and cheese. And that's a big favorite. But it's between mac and cheese and cornbread. And if it's even if it's cornbread, I need a corner piece. I think the corner piece of everything just tastes better. Brownies, it tastes better. Cookies, it tastes better. Everything on the corner just has that little oomph. That's it for me.
Now, between those two sides, there are different ways that you could go with either.
Yeah.
So which way do you lean? Like, I guess, like, what style of mac and cheese and what style of cornbread are you?
I want a moist, wet, like that nice crunch and crust around the edge and that nice cheesy, crusty layer at the bottom for my mac and cheese. For the cornbread, just soft, not like crumbly soft. Like I could take a bite and it'll hold on its own type of thing. Yeah, I love a good cornbread. I feel like it's an underappreciated art form, making cornbread. Much less if you make cornbread in a skillet. That's when I know you know what you're doing. Don't cheat with those little bake pans. Go ahead and drop that in that seasoned skillet. Let's see how it goes. Let's roll through a couple more of these here, shall we? That's weird. T&H Barbecue asks, good evening, sir. Love the podcast. Do you have any tips on turning a side hustle into a career? Yeah, that was sort of the first question. I'll reiterate, go ahead and listen to the last two episodes, especially the episode before that one. Like first 29 minutes, literally business of barbecue. But if you have listened to that and you're looking for a little bit more, if you go to my YouTube, there's a playlist titled The Business of Barbecue, which is a series that I did. I've made a video every day for about 88 days straight, highlighting everything I did and do at that point in time to grow the business. If you can't find all the answers there, then come back to me. But definitely watch that series first, because I'm going to quiz you to make sure you watch it, because I know it's in there because I recorded it. But that has a ton of information. But a short answer and tips for turning your hustle into a career: get a pen, paper, sit down, write out a plan, write out all the crazy ideas, write out what you want to do, write out what you're afraid of happening, write out what you have, write out what you feel like you need, what you don't think is important. Just get it all out there and look at it, and then see if you still want to do this, because all of those things are going to happen at one point or another, and you've got to be willing to accept it and chart through, and then just focus on what makes you doing it different than everyone else. But it all starts with that and having a solid product to offer. Best of luck, brother. Reach out if necessary. Jay Fitch asked, best food to cook on a rotisserie. Thinking of buying one for the master build. Get it. I dig it. I love having the rotisserie. I love having that attachment. I did a video with them where we did some lamb chops on there, some Parmesan crusted, herb crusted lamb chops. Absolutely delicious. I have an event in Vegas that I'll be serving up some Philly cheesesteaks, doing some sliders, some gyro as well, with some boneless leg of lamb that I'll be slow cooking using the rotisserie attachment. So I suggest you get it. You won't you won't regret it. There we go. But
Found it.
found it. It was in there. It's in there. We've been filming all day, guys. I've got voiceover stuff. I don't know how I sound, but this is what it is. You don't have to stop at just chicken or turkey. You can do anything with bone or bone off. Just make sure you attach it and truss it correctly. I sometimes go the extra mile and use butcher's twine as well, but leg of lamb, chuck roast, anything you can lay on there. You can skewer a bunch of thin cut pork chops on there too and just shave that off. Get creative. Get creative.
What's your favorite meat to rotisserie?
Lamb.
Quick answer. You didn't even think about that one.
It's lamb. Because it's something about, we did for the demo, something about lamb fat and it just slowly rolling and basting itself. And when you get, this is how I know you've got the rotisserie speed, because some go really slow and some go fast. But if you can get that sweet spot to where the drip doesn't fully fall off, like the speed catches it and it's just falling or rotating back on itself, self-basting. And if you are using rotisserie, halfway through the cook, drop a cast iron skillet underneath it, put some medium diced potatoes or tomatoes or anything in there and let it confit, let that fat build up, those drippings, save flavor at every level. That's the way to do it. Oh, this rolls into the other one. Christopher asked, how do you like the Masterbuilt? I like it. I really and genuinely do. And the reason I like it's probably different than others. It's not necessarily the ease of use for me. It's the fact that it allows me to still use charcoal and wood when cooking, combining the two. I've talked about the double stack method from my buddy John before. I've talked about my pillar method, which is where I just put my wood split stamp vertical in the hopper and then load my coal so it's pushing it against the wall and allows the wood and the coal to burn at the same level. Love it. Love it. I do believe, and this is wholeheartedly here, in the digital charcoal cooker space, it is the best bang for your buck. Like, no question, hands down, great set of accessories. There is a pizza insert accessory now. There is a griddle insert accessory. Rotisserie's in there. It's worth checking. And for the cost, it's so much real estate, so much cooking space, and it runs very, very efficiently. So just keep that in mind. What do we have here? Oh, this is a really good one. Friends Naff. If you were to choose between ribs and filet, which one would you choose? I wonder if they mean like filet mignon. Because if so, it's ribs. Here. Whew, controversial opinion. Filet mignon is overrated. It is an absolutely overrated cut of meat. It doesn't have a ton of fat. Yeah, it's super tender, but it dries out so quick. You can cook it, you can practice it. There are places that nail it, but I'm not ordering that at a restaurant. I'm sorry, I'm going for a ribeye, a tomahawk porterhouse, or it can be like my buddy Lee here who sticks to the New York strip wherever we go because he's like, it's a strip. You know what you get when you get a strip.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. It's a good baseline.
It is. It is a solid baseline to judge
maybe I'll get a second steak if the strip is good.
Yeah, and they're usually extremely affordable. The strip is usually the most affordable cut on any menu for steak. But yeah, for me, if I have to choose between those two, it's ribs all day. Doesn't matter if it's beef ribs or pork ribs or lamb ribs or turkey ribs. Still choosing ribs. That's just me.
If you were able to cook both, which are you choosing?
Ribs. Okay. Because I like the time aspect. I can knock out a filet mignon quick. It's not, it's like cooking once you let it temper, it's like cooking a tuna steak, But I did do a bourbon aged ribeye, and that was absolutely delicious. So good. And I brought it not to rare, just slightly over blue. So good. And you can't do that style of cooking with every bit, but you have to have a certain quality of meat for it. But I digress. That was just so good. It's so good.
It did look good.
It was rather.
I was a little sad I wasn't there.
You know, life and stuff. But there's see. I hope
There'll
you're
be
listening.
more.
There's always more.
There'll be more.
There's always going to be more. See, Brian, not everyone always gets the steak all the time. I just R&D a ton. Like that's the thing. Like you've got to. And here's how I go about it. And this will sort of we'll close out on this. There's a difference between, like, you know, the top 10%, right? And then the 1%. But I want to bring my skill levels to the 1% of the 1%. And I found the difference with them is they don't practice till they get it right. That's what the 10% does. Practice till you get it right. Practice makes perfect, right? All that jazz. I practice till I can't get it wrong. That no matter where I am, no matter what the elements are, no matter what the conditions are, no matter what the rig, what's not available to me, I can still get it nonstop. There was a particular event I did last year, and we won't go into it, but after it, Corey and I were talking, and it was like, do you realize how good you have to be to succeed even when they literally set you up to fail? And that is the difference between practicing until you get it right and practicing until you can't get it wrong. And with that, I will leave you with a raspy closure of my name is Rasheed Phillips, and this has been This Week in Barbecue, the barbecue-focused podcast that introduces you to both the good, the bad, and everything in between in the world of barbecue. Thank you guys so much for listening. Tell a friend to tell two friends. Like, share, subscribe. It will really help us out. And if you could, leave a review. Let me know how we're doing, how bad I look, how crazy my hair is, if I need a new beard oil, whatever. A review helps. Be kind to one another.